Fellow students, I am Dr. Neema Gupta. My today's topic is industrial relation. So students, before telling the concept what the industrial relation is, I would like to give brief introduction about why did this concept came into existence, right? As you all know, the concept of barter economy. Earlier what used to happen, the people used to exchange goods with each others, right? And then they realized that instead of exchanging goods with each others, why not to sell these goods into the markets, right? Then they started selling the goods into the market and they started earning the money also. Then in order to fulfill the demand of the customers, right, then they started manufacturing goods at home, right? As the demand was increasing, then they realized that instead of manufacturing goods at home, they shifted their business from home to the outside. And in order to manufacture the large scale of production, they required more hands, right? Earlier when they were producing the goods at home, the family members were helping them. Now then they hired people for manufacturing the goods in a large scale, so that they could fulfill the demand of the customers. Now what they did, the employer, they started exploiting the employees, right? They were not giving the extra amount of money for the extra work, and they were also not paying the fair amount of wages to the employees. Then what the employees did, when they realized that the employer are exploiting them, then what they just formed a union. Union means the trade union. Students, the main function of the trade union is to protect the interests of the employees. So in order to protect their interests, what the employees did, they made a trade union, and as they made the trade union, the conflict started arising in the organizations, right? The employees, they were demanding more and more salary, right? The employees, they were also demanding the extra wages for the extra work, and the employer, they were refusing to give the extra wages for the extra work, and also refusing to give the fair amount of wages to the employees. So the employees, they started going for a strike, and the employer, they started going for lockdown. Ultimately the productivity was suffering, because what happens, industrial progress is not possible without the labor management cooperation in industrial harmony. Then both the parties, they realize this, कि without having good relationship with each others, right, they cannot manufacture in a large scale. So that time the concept of industrial relation came into existence. Now I come to the point, what the industrial relation is. Industrial relation is also known as the management relations, management labor relations. Labor here means the workers, and the management means the employers, right? Industrial relations generally includes two terms, that is industry and the relations, right? These two terms make the industrial the term of industrial relations. So industry means what? It is any productive activity in which the group of individuals are engaged. Group of individuals means the workers are engaged, means the place where the raw materials are converted into the finished goods. So such type of place is called the industry. Relations means the relationship that exists within the industry between the employers and his workers, workers and union and the management. Union means trade union, right? So we can say that industrial relations means all type of relationship between all parties in the organizations. All parties means employers and his workers, workers and trade union and the management, right? So now we come to the next slide, that is meaning of industrial relations. Industrial relation is that field of study which analyzes the relationship among the management and the employees of an organization at the workplace, and also provides a mechanism to settle down the various industrial disputes. This concept evolved in the late 19th century because of the industrial revolutions. Students, I have already explained the meaning of industrial relations. So in short, we can say industrial relationship means the relationship that exists between the employers and the employees, right? Now we come to the next slide, that is definitions. There are two definitions of industrial relation. According to ILO, IR comprises the relationship between the state on the one hand and the employers and employees organization on the other hand. State means the government, right? According to ILO, right? Earlier in my previous slides, I explained the relationship. I explained the meaning of industrial relations means the relationship that exists between the employers and employees. But in the definition of ILO, they have also, right? In their definition they have also explained that IR is the relationship which exists not only between the employers and the employees, means it also exists between the state means government and employers and employees, right? Next definition is according to Professor Dunlop, it is the complex of interrelations among workers, managers and government. In this definition, there is a term that is complex of interrelations among workers, managers and government. Why the relationship between the managers, workers and government is complex? The reason behind, because there are many issues in the organizations, many problems in the organizations which occur between the employer and the employees, like increase in demand, increase in salary or wages, or organizing the training and development program for the employees, like payment of bonus, right, compensation amount. So these all are the issues which actually impact the relationship between the employer and the employees. In the organization, the relationship between the employer and the employees is not so simple, right? There are, right, and a lot of things, lot of hard work takes to make the relationship harmonious between the employer and the employees. So that's why Professor Dunlop has mentioned that IR is the complex of interrelations among workers, managers and the government, right? I hope you people are understanding. Next is features of industrial relations, right? There are various features of industrial relation. Number one is industrial relation does not exist without two parties. It's very true. Two parties are there, right, to define the meaning or definition of industrial relations. Number one is employer and the second one is employees. Okay. Next is IR includes both individual relations as well as collective relations. So individual relations means the relationship which exists between the employer and the employees, right? Such kind of relationship is called the individual relations. And collective relations means the relations between employers association, that is board of directors, and trade union, as well as the role of the state in regulating these relations, right? So this is the meaning of the collective relations. Third point is IR is complex and multidimensional in nature. That IR is complex, that point I have already explained. Multidimensional in nature means not only the relationship between employer and employees affect the IR, but there are some other factors also, like economic factors, technological factors, social factors, psychological factors. They also impact the relationship between the employer and the employees, right? So that's why it is multidimensional in nature. Several parties are involved in industrial relation systems. The main parties are employers and their association, that is board of directors, employees and their union, that is trade union, and the government, right? So there are various parties which are involved in the industrial relations so that they can maintain the harmonious relationship between the employer and the employees, right? Next point is the main purpose of IR is to maintain harmonious relationship between the management and the labor, right? In this case, I have already explained the main objective of IR is to maintain the good relationship between the management and the labor. If they mutually, right, settle down their dispute. If the dispute is not settled down mutually, right, then government interrupts, right? So with the help of interruption of the government, right, the IR maintains the good relationship between the employer and the employees. Next slide. Next feature is there are three main parties in IR. Number one, employers and employers association, that is board of directors. Number two, employees and its trade union. And number three is government in the form of courts and tribunals, right? If the dispute is not resolved by the mutual consent, then it goes to the court and tribunals. The government interrupts in the form of court and tribunals. Then they give the decision which binds both the parties. Next feature is the main issues involved in IR is number one, grievance and their redressal. Grievance means the feeling of dissatisfaction which the employee is having out of and in the course of employment, right? Grievance is a kind of dispute or the conflict, right, which the employee is having from the employment, and its redressal means resolving the grievance. This thing comes under the IR. Workers' participation in management. If the management invites the worker to participate in the decision making process, then they feel that they are the important assets of the organization, and this thing also maintain the good relationship between the management and the workers. Next is discipline. If all the employees they follow the rules and regulations, right, the code of conduct is followed by the employees, then there is no dispute between the employer and the employees, right. Next is collective bargaining. If there is some problems or some issues regarding the increment in the salary or regarding the organizing the training and development program for the employees, then both the representative means the representative of the employees, that is trade union, and the representative of the employer, they sit together and solve the problem, and they arrive to a conclusion that what action they have to what action should be taken so that the dispute can be resolved, right. Next is machinery for the settlement of industrial dispute. Government has made 3 machinery: adjudication, arbitration and conciliation, right, for the settlement of the industrial dispute. Whenever the dispute arises in the organization and if it is not resolved by both parties, then it goes to the these settlement machinery, right. And the function of the settlement machinery, settlement of dispute machinery is to give the decision, and that decision binds both the parties, and by giving the decision it maintains the good relationship between the employer and employees, right. So this is all about the industrial relation, its features, right. I hope you all have understood. If you have any doubt, you can please ask the questions. Thank you.